People, Deluded, I'm back again. I hope you're all doing well and safe. Welcome back to another edition of the Deluded podcast, the DG podcast, the Really and Truly podcast. As I always say, whatever you refer to it as, I don't really mind, just as long as you know where to come to in terms of where your content is. Make sure you're following the guests. I know a lot of you are listening on Spotify, Apple Music. Shout out to the ones that don't have the streaming service and you're listening on YouTube. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and them things there. If you're not going to do anything more, follow me on Instagram. Information is in the description. Deluded Gooner 04, and also Twitch, man. Exclusive content coming to Twitch. Q&As, everything, a lot of things. I don't even want to speak too tough, but make sure you're following me on Twitch, Deluded Gooner. It's hella easy to find you. Enough of that shit. Find me, sorry. So it should be easy for you. Enough of the shameless plugging. As I always say, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. It's Tuesday morning over here in the UK. Obviously, it's the second day of the week. I hope you're all moving closer to your goals, dreams, hopes, and aspirations, people. So yeah, man, as you don't know, it's transfer window. There's a lot of stuff to speak about, but not a lot of stuff to speak about. I mean, how long are we going to keep sitting here and speaking about the Harry Kanes, the Grealishes? I've done lots of vids on Raphael Varane, and I know he's getting ever closer to his Man United move, so I don't really want to go over myself until you see some significant progress. Bit concerned about the signings Everton are making, really and truly. Shout out Rafa Benitez, but I hardly see how a lot of their signings take them forward. In the last day, they're being linked with a free transfer for Townsend. Damari Grays looks like he's completing a medical. I actually don't know if that's on loan or permanent. And Begovic. Now, in reality, Townsend and Begovic would be squad players. For Townsend, I respect it. Palace weren't giving you a new deal. I'm sure you probably get more handsome wages at Everton. He's 30 odd. You get a 2, maybe 3 year deal, even a year deal. That's good for you. Begovic probably going to be second, third choice keeper, so it's good for him. Damari Gray, I mean, obviously need to play for Jamaica. I don't mind. Maybe he wants to return home being England. I don't know how it worked out for him in Leverkusen. I weren't really preying him like that, but it is what it is. I don't see how they push people forward. They're hardly gonna cause any problems. On the topic of Everton though, man, let's speak about something I really don't want to speak about, people. And again, I don't believe in innocent until proven guilty for some cases, in it, but we have to stress, let's not condemn and whatnot. But saying that, before I carry on with what I'm gonna say, already my stance on people that do the kiddie fiddler thing and rape and all of them sort of nastiness is there and all that crassest business. Prison isn't enough. I even said to you, again, I might get cancelled, but death is the only expectation. Then I always sit there and I think to myself, death is too easy for these scumbags. I want them to beg for death. So as I said, these lot should be thrown in as I feel anyways, if it's not a jungle justice, if you know where you dash a tyre and do what you need to do, I think they should be chained to it by their ankle to a pole or something. You get them a big boulder. You give them a hammer that can smash a rock, but you need to, it's not cut up to task. Every day you make them lick that up, hit it up, break it into smaller pieces. Yeah, it's been hot in the UK. Make them do it in that. Turn on the heating in the cell. Make them beg for death. Make death is too easy. And again, heart goes out to any of the victims, because even physical wounds heal, incidences can be, you can go through therapy and stuff like that, while it can if you break something, you can put sellotape back together, so it's not going to be the same. But for me, where I'm scared for victims of these things, this is there for life, innit? Like, this is them for life. The physical wounds may heal, the mental ones don't. And then, obviously, I assume this is a male. I don't know if this is a male to a young boy or a young girl. It doesn't make any difference. But, just to make the example easier and speak about the woman, you rob her of relationships, You rob her of a relationship with her dad, or how it once was with her dad, with her brother, with future boyfriends. Her boss might be a male. People down the street. It's already tough enough being a woman in society, people. And my eyes have been opened I've always known that, but in the last 2 years, I've listened to a lot of female friends and been able to listen to his examples, and obviously we know there's nastiness that goes on, but there's micro aggressions, there's little things that women have to live in fear, and much knows a young girl and things like that. And for me, obviously, we're going to another scale, not that it is another scale, but if it's a grooming thing, it's even it's even worse and things like that. So it's nastiness, man. This stuff has no place in the world. It's absolutely disgusting. I don't really, you lot know, I know you lot's thoughts. Any decent human being, you know your thoughts. You lot know my thoughts. it's kind of making me physically sick, but I have a duty to speak about this because as much as it's making me feel sick, imagine the victim's mother and all of these sort of things. Allegedly, first you saw early information I saw it last night, and had every reason to speak about it today. So I don't know if it came out prior to that, but apparently earlier you saw a Premier League player was arrested on suspicion of child sex offences. And since then you've seen a footballer described as a senior international has been arrested over alleged child sex offences. The player in question cannot be named for legal reasons, but you can name a suspect of many other crimes, you know, but you can't name someone for kiddie fiddling or being a nonce or raping and all of this crassest nastiness that has no place. And guy's making my blood boil. But his club have confirmed that he has been suspended. Now it's obviously been revealed it's Everton. Everton are trying, you know, Everton have a new manager. They're flying to America. You know, this has no place in society, but it couldn't have happened at a better time for Everton, sarcastically, because they shouldn't have to deal with this. And again, you know, this whoever this idiot is, he shagged it because he's 31. He's described as a senior international. All his friends in the footballing circuit and the outside world, now everybody's looking at them funny. You know how the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. I'm not saying they're all like that, but now people are looking at you. Now you're drawing out your little brother or your siblings or your mother. You know how it is. When you see people do mad stuff, people start saying what's going on in their house. So you've drawn out everyone. I'm sure, much is the case, this guy probably has a wife and kids and all of these sort of things. And again, I don't want to rationalise it. We say the same thing when these things happen. You're a professional footballer, you're playing in the Premier League, you can have any girl, or if you swing that way, any boy you want, obviously of age and with consent. But there's no logic around this, people, you know. This thing has no logic. These lot are groomers, you know. These lot are nastiness, you know. They like little boys and girls, and I don't know if they like the little boys and girls figures, which is disgusting, but they're turned on by that. They like to groom, they like to goad, you know. They're sicker than we think. There's no ration. We can't rationalize it. So we have to stop saying they can get any girl they want and all of these things. These people are not rational. They have a sick fetish for these things, and God forbid. You know, I always feel when these situations come out, it's not the first time. It's just the first time he's got caught, because I feel for everyone or other, what I hope happens is other people, if this happen, rise up and speak. What you typically happen, there's a lot of people that just keep quiet. They'll go about their life. They'll suffer internally, or they don't even know they're being groomed and all of these sort of things. Obviously, in the unlikely event he's innocent, then yeah, man, you know, apologies to him and things like that. But there's no smoke without fire. A lot of these people walk free from the court system and the police cells because they say lack of sufficient evidence. You hear that a lot. That's why a lot of women don't have much. It's the same thing but different. A lot of women in England, they don't. That's why a lot of them don't pursue the rape cases and things like that. Not because they're in it. They're not innocent and they don't want to. It's because, again, they're told there's insufficient evidence, and the court system is set up for every way of these people to evade this. You already see it with the sentences they get. We all know birds of a feather flock together, so people within the system are probably protecting each other. You know, you get longer for selling drugs than you do for rape. It's crazy. I'm not saying, you know, selling drugs isn't wrong, but I mean, come on now. You know, one is a choice people are actively making. The other one, you're choosing to rob someone of their innocence, of their life, and force yourself upon someone. So obviously, this guy deserves the book thrown at him, people. What I don't want to do is what probably people are doing, because you'll see, I don't want to say names until it actually comes out, because when their names come out, I'll be back on YouTube and I'll be giving them hellfire. But you can, you know, I'm pretty sure there's probably 2-3 31-year-olds in the Everton team. You can imagine, obviously, people going and selecting who it is and whatnot, people. The player cannot be named for no reason, for legal reasons, but the club have confirmed that he has been suspended. The footballers had his home raided on Friday and was arrested later that day. Officers arrested a 31-year-old man on Friday, the 16th of July 2021, of suspicion of child sex offences, the statement read. He's on police bail pending further inquiry. So, yeah, I guess they don't want him anywhere near the training ground, and he shouldn't, man. And like I said, man, they need to rush him. Everton have suspended an unnamed first-team player pending a police investigation, the Premier League club said on Tuesday. And I mean, it won't be hard to work out. It's pre-season. You know, I don't know if Everton will guard media access, but it's not hard to work out. If somebody's in training on Thursday, since Friday they're not there, you know, you already know it's a 31-year-old. So the numbers are, while I'm saying you shouldn't speculate, but they're being whittled down. There's only so much you can hide. And Everton, you know, it's a tough decision to be put in. Obviously, they have to condemn it. But for what it's worth, Everton have suspended an unnamed first team player pending a police investigation, people. No further details about the police case were provided. The club will continue to support the authorities with their inquiries and will not be making any further statements at this time, a short statement on their website said, people. So, may hell come crashing down on whoever did this if they done this. It's as simple as that, people. Brighton, I want to move away from it because, like I said, man, death is too easy. They shouldn't even be alive for what it said if they did do this. Moving away from that, Brighton have pulled the plug on a pre-season training camp in Scotland because of the COVID-19 fears. Same reason you're hearing Inter Milan have actually dropped out of going to America and playing Arsenal among other teams in the Florida Cup. And you are seeing a lot of incidences. Arsenal's training ground, thankfully, well, not even thankfully, we happen to be in Scotland. The under 23s and 18s have kind of had to quarantine and things like that on a short period of time. And you are seeing these things open up again. And I don't think we're anywhere near seeing COVID end yet because, I don't think the government in the UK cares about people's health, and at the same time you're seeing record numbers rise and you're seeing things open. And let's be real, it's summer. It's been a good couple of days in terms of the sun, and everybody's out everywhere. Suddenly, when I know they're saying now you need COVID passports and things to get in grounds. That's in September. We're in July. I'm sure there's no carnival, but I'm sure there's festivals elsewhere. I know they're not going to lock off all the festivals. Football is coming back. We're allowed in the grounds after being starved of that. We've had the Euros already. So, and you are, again, even in my immediate reality, you're seeing a lot of people pop up with COVID-19 now. So again, you're seeing how we're not over the hurdles yet. And you can see, I wouldn't be surprised if we see another lockdown by the end of the year. I just think the government are saying, you know what? Do your summer thing. Whoever gets it, gets it. We're locking things down again in towards the end of the year. I don't think we've seen an end to this. I really don't. But yeah, football's gonna be no different. You're gonna see a lot of pre-season and matches and all these things disrupted. In my humble opinion, people. That's just the way I see it, people. Moving away from that, people, and hopefully we can talk about football, but unabout football, people. Now, obviously, we know the racist thuggery which happened during the Euros, especially within this country. I mean, drinking, drug abuse, drinking/alcohol abuse, gangster mentality, mob mentality, rolling in packs, using, committing violence. If this was another walk of people in society at certain events which nowhere near see this violence, you know how they're quick to condemn you as a thug and the rest of it. And for what it's worth, that's going to be England's legacy for the Euros. It should just be speaking about a team that got to the finals and a young squad that could do better. But as you don't know, the legacy is going to be how this country conducted itself. And a lot of people hate England for the arrogance they show, etc., etc. People prove them right. We cannot keep saying it's small sections of society. It's not. But anyways, moving away from that, the Footballing Association said it is determined to ensure disgraceful scenes that marred Euro 2020's final are never repeated. An independent review investigating the security breaches is set to take place. The FA announced on Monday. As you know, fans fought with stewards and police, and I felt stewards were done dirty. Stewards are not paid enough. They're not taught in Mortal Kombat. They ain't got technically. I think some stewards you have to get the license. You don't always need that. You're not paid enough and you're not skilled enough to deal with that, much less deal with violence. Me personally, I would have said, you lot do your thing, boy. I can't lie. You think I'm taking... Obviously, if someone hits me, I'm punching them back. I can't lie to you. But once I see it's a bit mad, I'm weighing up the pros and cons. I'm like, the effect, bro, man, don't get paid enough. If any, and... Again, I'm not saying it's United fans or anything, but you've seen unsavoury scenes with the Euros. You remember when the United fans got into the ground at Old Trafford? You remember seeing them images of the stewards' eye bleeding? You don't get paid enough for that. You don't get paid enough to risk your health. And at the end of the day, the club ain't going to look after these. If my man lost his eye and isn't able to take care of his family, the club ain't going to give you no compensation. They might say send you a little letter, but that's about it. It's not worth it. The stewards were set up to fail. And I mean, you should have considered this eventuality. Obviously, we don't typically see them scenes in this country, but that's why you should have expected. It's the first final in 50 odd years. There is racial tensions in society anyways. And I mean, away from any of that carrying on stupidness, bro, we beat Denmark. Did anyone not see the scenes? Well, that's semi-final. So logically, you would think it's going to be madder in the final, win, lose or draw. Everyone knew how England was going to react. win, lose or draw. You knew people were getting drunk, fighting, smashing up the place, doing all this other stuff that's part of this country's culture. It's quite upsetting, man. But yeah, man, they've said we are determined to understand what happened outside and inside the Wembley Stadium. Obviously, we got hit with, well, I keep saying we, it's not me. The FA's been hit with 4 charges by UEFA relating to disturbances caused during the national anthems, invasion of the pitch, throwing of objects, and obviously lighting of firework by fans. So again, it's crazy. And in addition to that, a UEFA ethics and disciplinary inspector has been appointed to conduct a disciplinary investigation into events involving supporters that occurred inside and around the ground, people. The FA announced last night that it would, conduct a full that it would conduct a full review of such. So yeah, man, I mean, a statement said, we continue to work with the relevant authorities to support their efforts to identify those responsible and hold them accountable. Mark Bullingham apologized to legitimate fans and said the security team had never seen anything like it. And I mean, you can't afford not to. England hasn't seen anything like this in many people's lifetimes, First final for 55 years. Did someone not think we need to extend the police force? We need to tighten up how people get into the ground. We need to maybe control alcohol consumption or alcohol selling in and around the ground. Come on now, this country has a problem with culture, but I mean with drinking. We are built on drinking culture, This is what we do, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as there's moderation. But there's sections of society who, are not happy with life, and they it's a mob mentality. They're allowed to go among and do stupidness, as I keep saying. And again, a lot of them are gonna go and be bus drivers, lawyers, teachers, just quote unquote positive jobs in society where they can sadly implement their blatant racism and obviously systemic racism, which is damaging people, You already see, I think, unfair laws, We already know, even, it's so twanged, even in predominantly black countries, like, you're not allowed dreads and that. Like, come on, that's a war on things. And I know as I used to have long hair. Hair is not a fashion statement. It's a sign of confidence as well, especially for young black girls. So it's quite upsetting what this country saw. But football mirrors society, society mirrors football, and these incidences have been there. I think the problem with the British public is we like to, not even me, but or you, people like to pull the wool under their eyes and act like everything's great and stuff, and it's not. There's nothing to be proud of right now with how they conducted themselves. So hopefully the book comes raining down on such. I bet you wouldn't have expected Saudi Arabia and an Italian joint bid to host the 2030 World Cup, people. I mean, that's crazy. We know Saudi Arabia are trying to get their foothold in global football even more, and we know, a lot of Saudi Arabian advisors and Italian advisors are doing things, man. The two countries enjoy, like I said, a very close relationship in terms of business, diplomatic, and obviously sporting relations. If you lot remember, next January Saudi Arabia will host the Italian Super Cup, people. So you can see it, and apparently a Qatari-based TV giant is trying to get Serie A right. So you can see how this ties into a lot of stuff, man. Saudi Arabia has been pouring money into sport and tourism projects in recent years, people, in an attempt to diversify its economy and boost its reputation on the global stage. As you lot know, it's already seen Anthony Joshua fight. It's had the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It's had the Dakar Rally as well. Hosting a World Cup would be a mad prize, people. And obviously, I'm not sure, because you would have a Qatar, you'd have sorry people, I had a brain fart there. You'd have a World Cup in Qatar and Saudi Arabia. Would that have to be a Winter World Cup as well? Because I'd imagine Saudi Arabia is hot. I don't know, people. I hear what they're saying, and I don't want to keep going on about these things, but didn't say Saudi Arabia just changed its law to allow women to drive. I'm not even sure. So again, there's only so much tourism you can do if there's laws and similar laws like such in place, which hopefully are not such, people. Obviously, Saudi money is also believed to have been behind two of UEFA, the FIFA president Infantino's earlier brainwaves. If you don't remember, the Global Nations League and Expanded Club World Cup, people. Apparently, it's even been suggested that Saudi money was underpinning the short-lived European Super League, but apparently there's no evidence. So yeah, man, I mean, Saudi Arabia, if any Saudi businessmen want to get involved in football, forget the World Cup coming by Arsenal Football Club. I know you lot got the bands, people. That's where I would be saying, but it's that really in that regards, and I don't think we'll see an Italian-Saudi Arabia joint World Cup, but you never know, people. In terms of talking about takeovers, I spoke about Arsenal. If you're you're a Newcastle United fan, disappointment for you because, we all know, I think clubs are crippled because it takes a majority of clubs to vote a new new owner in. But apparently the arbitration hearing between Newcastle United and the Premier League over the club's takeover has been adjourned until early 2022. A joint statement from Newcastle and the Premier League on Monday said the parties attended a hearing today in the case between Newcastle United and the Premier League. Obviously, the main hearing of the arbitration has regrettably now been adjourned until early 2022. So they could wait a year and still not get it. And on top of that, it's further frustration because for Newcastle fans, you have to get used to Mike Ashley, I guess. Which is quite upsetting. Apparently, it's been adjourned until early 2022 due to issues with the disclosure of evidence. The parties will be making no further comment at this time. Newcastle United supporters just said it was unacceptable that the club had been left in a state of limbo for 15 months. And it's true. I do think if it was a quote unquote bigger club, like if it was Arsenal, if it was United, if it was Liverpool, if it was Chelsea, City, I defo feel they wouldn't have had to wait. There'll be things done. And it's quite upsetting people. And again, again, ironically, we just spoke about Saudi Arabia. I didn't even read this part. It's a Saudi Arabian-backed consortium which included Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund. So again, it's a bit like trying to stop PSG and City. It could potentially be a country more or less backing a football club. Obviously, as you know, it pulled out. A deal was agreed last year, April, to buy Newcastle. However, it was pulled out following July, with the deal still being scrutinised under Premier League owners and directors' tests, having grown frustrated with its failure to reach a decision, people. So, yeah, man, apparently Richard Martz said the consortium disagreed with the Premier League's conclusion that one entity would have control of the club, and it rejected an offer of arbitration to determine who would own the club. So, I guess there's some white lines and some uncertainties that need to be solved in that regards, people. Moving away from that, though, and speaking about some transfer news, I'm very happy for Jesse Lingard. His form is one thing, but when you dig deeper, you can see that he's done a lot to change mentally. Physically, you can do a lot, but he's done a lot to change mentally. Seems like he's grown up a bit, but you see he's been working with like a life coach sort of thing, and he's been writing down his goals and his targets for the season, and you can't really be surprised that he had a good season for West Ham. Obviously he needed to play. He's been dealing with a lot off the field, and just by playing football, all your problems can go away. Being out of an environment, like being out of United for a second, like how he was always there since he's been a kid, going to West Ham, these things can be positive for you. And he probably could have went with the Euros. He keeps his form up. He probably could go to the World Cup in 2022, people. But with that, it's his future. There's still a lot to be said. I don't know if he'll be at United or not. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, for what it's worth, said Jesse is part of Manchester United plans going into the new season. There's even talk of giving him a new deal now. Ironically, that was seen as to protect his resale value, people. But who knows, people. Moving away from that, as you lot can see, apparently West Ham are still keen on signing him and are waiting on the decision as to whether he has a future at Old Trafford. And again, he might have a future at Old Trafford, but, United are playing coy. They want to get decent money for Lingard. They maybe want to protect his resale value, then let him go. They might genuinely want him. They might want to wait until late pre-season to see if he's really improved or he's really got a use. They might want to keep him because they haven't completed doing what they're doing in the transfer market and want to have bodies in the case something happens. I don't know. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said he was one of the positives. He's a Manchester United player and he fights for his place. He's come back bright, confident and with lots of energy. I think everyone saw what he did at the end of last season with West Ham. He's still in my plans. I expect him at United at the start of the season. So yeah, for what it's worth, as you lot know, Jadon Sancho is a United player, but they're moving closer to officially confirming that. And the same is said for Rafael Varane, who has allegedly already said goodbyes at Real Madrid, people. And Oli has said, when asked about Varane, he said the same again. On Jadon Sancho, he said, I don't think it's a secret we have a deal with Dortmund, but until the paperwork is done, he's still a Dortmund player. So Oli's just being respectful for Dortmund and not trying to damage relations because, I'm sure they've got Jude Bellingham. I'm sure United will be indirectly, while I don't think they're going to get him, listening to what's going on with Haaland. In the next 18 months, there'll probably be a next Donny at Dortmund that everybody's after, people. There was talk of Marcus Rashford having a shoulder operation, and I just feel there's certain individuals in this country should respect him, I'm not going to say it's the same as going to war, but this guy has put his health on the back burner for club and country. Some of you are Manchester United and England fans. You know, he's stepped up to take a pen and he's put off surgery. Have a bit more respect for him. But in relation to that, Oli confirmed the club has not yet made a decision on Marcus Rashford and whether he will need to undergo an operation on his shoulder. What I would say to Marcus is there's been times as an outsider looking in, and I've spoke with United fans, a couple of my United brethren, it does feel sometimes, because Marcus might be a naive sort of young man, loves Man United, he doesn't necessarily make the right decision for his health, and he's picked up a lot of niggling injuries. At this point, I mean, Pogba had the same thing. People got onto Pogba for having his own fitness guy. Not the same, but you get the point. I feel at 23 years of age, I'm not saying the club don't care about Rashford, and I'm not saying he shouldn't listen to their counsel, he should, but I would look to be getting some independent advice, man. Can you go to an independent doctor free from your bias and actually Man United's and seeing what could be said, because you need to look after yourself. You're 23 years of age. Marcus Rashford, Man United player. You are Marcus Rashford. You are your brand. You know, you're 23. You need to look after yourself. You're no good if you can't play or you're picking up injuries and all of these things. And you don't want these things to plague you. Look at Theo Walcott. He had a couple of shoulder injuries. What did that do for him? The 23-year-old is considering going under the knife after playing through the pain barrier with the injury since November. I mean, come on now. Unless there's a way of fixing it without surgery, come on now. In November, man, in July now. That's November, December, January, April. I'm even mad this morning, people. November, December, January, February, March, April, June, July. That's 8 months, people. Mad thing. And at what point, you know, obviously, if something needs to be fixed and you keep playing on it, how much are you making it worse? You know, there's only so much painkillers and, you know, bandaging it up. There's only so much of them things there you could do, people. He said, we have to make the best decision for him for what to do with his injury. We have still not decided the course of action. And he's obviously condemned, and Oli, for what it's worth, condemned what happened to Sancho, Saka and Rashford. But I don't need to keep going on about that. I mean, away from all the negative news, people, if you look at it, you know, one thing, well, it might be negative for Liverpool fans. Henderson's been linked with a move to Atletico Madrid and also PSG. As you don't know, he's turning 31 soon. By the time his deal at Liverpool's done, he's 33. I don't think they'll let Ronaldo and Henderson go, but Liverpool have a squad that's very much for the present, you know. Thiago's 29, Salah's on the other side of 20. The same goes for Mane. The same goes for Van Dijk. They have got youth players. You know, Joe Gomez isn't the oldest. Trent isn't the oldest. Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones. But there is a bit of imbalance and there needs a bit more medium-term players. So, yeah, I don't think that you're going to have a reality where all these players are going to retire at Liverpool and things like that. I think Henderson will sign a new deal. But, I mean, you have to consider with 2 years left, all options should be on the table. I know, for me, Henderson, I won't go as far as to say he's Mr. Liverpool, but he embodies Liverpool. Working class hero, conducts himself with absolute honour on and off the field. You know, good footballer as well. You know, big character as well. All of these sort of things, man, you know. But apparently, you know, apparently for what it's worth, long-lasting Liverpool captain Jordan Henderson, apparently his future is far from certain. The Athletic understands that while talks over an extension have taken place during this off-season period, no real progress has been made. And to be fair, no real progress was going to be made. He's been at the Euros, innit, really and truly. Negotiations haven't broken down and sources stress that dialogue is ongoing, but it's both a complicated and sensitive situation. The reality is that Liverpool's owner, FSG, currently has bigger priorities to address in the squad. So Henderson might not be that important. From a footballing point of view, they should be able to cope without him. Just from purely for football, but character, you never know. You know, this is someone that fitted in at centre half when they needed it to be as well. PSG boss Pochettino is understood to be an admirer of Henderson, and he's keeping a close eye on development. The same goes for Atletico Madrid, where Henderson remains still good friends with Luis Suarez and would probably relish the prospect of being reunited with his former teammate. PSG and Atletico have previously have previous for signing vastly experienced players on big wages, although whether Atletico currently have the finances to do such is unclear. The way in which Liverpool allowed Wijnaldum's contract to run down has alerted the market to the fact Henderson could be available. Klopp's admiration and loyalty to his captain, both as a player and person, is unwavering. They have a close bond. Klopp credits him with fostering the spirit and unity that helped propel Liverpool to Premier League and Champions League glory. Klopp views Henderson as a role model who sets the standards every day. If this was Klopp's call alone, then talks over an extension would have been a formality and the agreement would have already been signed. But Wijnaldum's exit underlined the fact that Liverpool manager doesn't have complete control when it comes to contracts. If he did, obviously he would still be here. When you look at it, people, Mane, Salah, Firmino, João Matip and Shaqiri are all 29. Van Dijk and Thiago are 30. Henderson is a year older, and James Milner is set to be out of contract next season. He'll be 35. It's a source has said close to it, it's a contract that has been spoken about the least, but probably tells the biggest story. This is a critical summer for Henderson. For what it's worth, Henderson himself has kept his own counsel. It's not his way to agitate. He's too respectful and puts the team and the club first. But it's clear that this isn't about money. This is about feeling wanted. He knows Klopp's plan for him, but what about the club? What role do they see for him going forward? Henderson doesn't want to be kept around just to keep stirring pep talks and help new players settle in. He doesn't want Liverpool to renew his contract because they think it's the right thing to do, but because they believe he still has much to offer on the pitch in pursuit of much more trophies. That's facts. And when you look at it, people, it promises to be a busy few months in terms of contract negotiations at Anfield, because you look at, as well as Henderson, Van Dijk, Salah, Mane, Firmino, Fabinho, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and obviously Naby Keita all see their contracts expire in 2023. And then you've obviously got Alisson Becker, who's contracted until 2024, but apparently he's in line to sign a new deal. In terms of outgoings, Liverpool have been doing a decent amount. You know, Taiwo, the striker, is set to complete a 6.5 million move to Union Berlin. And for what it's worth, Marco Griech, you know, the midfielder that was highly hyped, hasn't quite hit the heights or been given an opportunity. Apparently, he's set to complete a 14 million euros, £10.5 million transfer to Porto. He was pictured arriving late in Portugal on Monday evening after he'd been granted permission to leave the Austrian training camp where Liverpool are working for pre-season and finalise his move, people. Liverpool have also negotiated a 10% sell-on clause in that regards. If we was to get into transfers now, people, because to close this up, because there isn't actually much more to speak about, let's go through the transfer column. As I said, Everton look to be signing Begovic, Gray and Townsend. Whether that takes them forward, I don't know. Apparently Chelsea know West Ham and England international Declan Rice is keen to join them, and they will approach the Hammers to find out what it would take for them to get a deal done. And I mean, I'm sure they want to keep Rice and bring in Lingard, but that might bring them closer to Lingard. Peace. You know, you was quoted 60 million for Rice. I won't say Rice set the Euros alight, but he did okay. So again, at 22 years of age, they're not going to go for him. For Rice, I can't lie, man. You need to, I'd do it for 50, and I think even that's overpaying. I like Rice, but his actual skills as a player, you should be able to source in players significantly cheaper. I think he'll be a centre half at some point in the future for what it's worth, but it is what it is in that regards, people. Apparently, Hudson-Odoi is staying to fight for his place, so he's ended talk of potentially moving to Bayern Munich as part of a swap deal for Kingsley Coman. Manchester City are unwilling to pay the 50 million asking price for 19-year-old Portugal left-back Nuno Mendes. Atletico are adamant Kieran Trippier is not for sale, but they would like to replace him with Nelson Semedo. Tottenham are in advanced talks over a deal for Atalanta's Argentine centre-back Christian Romero, who's quite good. Wolves have been handed the chance to sign Braithwaite from Barcelona. Arsenal are still trying to get Locatelli despite him wanting Juventus. Koulibaly seen a Manchester United bid of 30 million euros rejected by Napoli for his services. Where else have we got? Danny Ings has his mind set on a move to Manchester United or Manchester City. Everton are interested in Dwight McNeil. I'm not sure how these signings make Everton better, but fair play. Burnley have an interest in Lyon's Ivory Coast star Maxwell Cornet. Brighton want Nathaniel Phillips to replace Ben White. Not sure that's the right signing to make. Barcelona have been offered the opportunity to sign Manchester United and Netherlands midfielder Donny van der Beek. Leeds are considering a move for Adama Traore. Chelsea youngster Lewis Bay is attracting interest from Liverpool, West Ham, Leeds and Southampton. I mean him, Paris Hart. For me, Livramento. I think Arsenal should be involved. Livramento, the right back, I think Arsenal should be involved for that. There's shades of Tariq Lamptey there for that 18-year-old. And finally, allegedly, Bournemouth are favourites to sign Scott Dan. So make of that what you will. Can't say that's inspired. But yeah, man, we've been here for 30 odd minutes. Sadly, we had to speak about this Everton business. We spoke more positive, and obviously the Euro stuff. We spoke more positive about Jesse Lingard and transfer stuff. So yeah, make sure you're paying attention, people, especially if you're listening to this on YouTube, because I'm sure at 11:30 a.m. I'm going live, where we'll focus more on Arsenal and stuff. Please make sure you're supporting, like I said, Deluded Gooner on Twitch, Deluded Gooner04 on Instagram, Twitter, and the rest of it. More importantly than that, please stay safe. And like I said, it's Tuesday. Please attack your goals for the week aggressively. I'll be back on Friday, provided there's something to speak about. It's been a fantastic edition of the DG podcast. Please stay safe. Have a great day. Like I said, hopefully I've provided some value for these 30 odd minutes. People, Deluded, I'm out. Thank you for listening.